So we're going to create the equation of a line of a parabola when we're given a focus and a directrix. And in this case, I've got some stuff already drawn out, so I'm going to point out what everything is. So this blue line right here, well, this is the directrix. Okay, so this guy right here, this line is the directrix, and it's labeled as if you were in Algebra 1, and it's just a horizontal line at y equals 2, so we name it y equals 2. And then down here, this is the focus. So when I have a directrix and I have a focus, I know that I'm going to have a parabola between them. So I'm going to say, well, my parabola, I'll do that in purple, my parabola is between them. And more specifically, my vertex is halfway. So I'm going to look and see how many spaces there are between my focus and my directrix. So I'm looking here at my focus and I'm looking here at my directrix, and I'm going to count the spaces. So when I count the spaces, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know that my vertex is half of that. So I know that if I wanted to put my parabola in, it's going to be halfway between. So that means that my p-value, this distance here between the vertex and the focus, well, it's going to be 2 units. And that my distance here between the vertex and the directrix, well, that's p, and that's also 2 units. So it's just as far from here, this vertex, to the directrix as it is from here, this vertex, to the focus. Okay, so that's a big part of it. And I'm just sort of going to sketch a graph of what my parabola would be. And I know that my parabola goes around my focus. So I'm going to draw it in a way that, so I can say, well, I'm going to have this parabola that is going to open down so that that focus is inside of the curve. Okay, well, that's going to give me some information. Now that I know what my P is, then I can say, well, I know that this P right here, or this P right here, that's going to be 2. So I'm going to say, well, I know that this p-value, well, that's going to be 2. I also know that my parabola, so this parabola is going down, which means my total A value, this whole thing here, right, which is my A value, that's going to be negative, because that's what happens when it opens down. Okay, so I've got some information. I'm going to use my formula. I'm going to rewrite this guy. And put in my 2, and I'm going to write it down here. So I'm going to say I've got this formula of this equation 1 over 4p x squared, and I know that p is 2, so I'm going to say this is 1 over 4 times 2 x squared, and I also know that my parabola opens down, so like this guy's opening down, so he's going to be negative, so I'm going to put this, and I'll do it in purple, that it's really negative 1 over 4 times 2. Okay. Now I can rewrite that and say that's the same as y equals negative 1 over 8 x squared. And that gives me the equation for my parabola.